All right, so this is getting started with OfficeSweeet. So what do we want to do here? Basically, I want to show you how you can get everything set up so you can actually do business. So what we're going to talk about today, first of all, we're going to log in. And as you can see, this is where your business name is here. You learn this in the introduction. So if you had a different business name, it would look something like that. So we'll go ahead and just get logged in. Let me tell you what we're going to cover in this 20 minutes really quick. We're going to go into get your company information in there, make sure that's all right. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get your payment gateway in place, because what's really cool is that when you send an invoice, they can actually pay it right from their email. And this way it all ties together, and I'll show you how to make that happen. We're also going to get your staff in there, because when you get your staff in there, then it flows directly to the schedule. So we'll talk a little bit about the schedule and how you can see everybody. We're going to add some clients and prospects and vendors. We're also going to be showing you what this little button down here is, this action button. Can you see it there? The big plus. We're going to be showing what all that does. We're going to add your services and products so that when you go to write an invoice, those things are in there already. Naturally, we're going to go over invoicing and how that automatically will produce your purchase orders if you need to. And we'll just go a little bit over the messaging system. So let's go ahead and get started. So first thing we're going to do is over here on the left side, we're going to go to the admin control panel right there. I'm going to click that. So you can see here it comes to a place where you have these tabs across the top and down here. And the first place it comes to is these events. Basically, the events are on the schedule. So you can have things like office meetings, you can see estimates and different things. So you make this so it works for you, and you would just place the event in here. Now there's a different video that covers that, but this is the first thing you're going to see when you come over here. So you might want to put in things like if you're heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, you could say in there it's like an installation, or you can put in there a quote or an estimate if you want to go out for an estimate. So different things that you would put on the schedule, and then you can actually have the amount of time that you would, default to, so you don't have to constantly change the amount of time. We'll go into that a little bit more detail later, but this is basically where you put the events on the schedule. You can add as many as you want, and of course you can see this big button here, you can delete them as well. So let's go to the company information here, and you want to verify your company information is in here correctly. So you put the company name here, and you put your logo in here, and it's very simple. If you're on your computer, you go choose a file and put it in there, and make sure you click the save button. Then you put your company email in here. Now you can connect it directly to Gmail if you want. We'll show you a little bit later how you go about doing that. That's in the integrations here. But you put your company email in here. So you see there may not be anything in here, so we want to make sure that we have the main branch. That's the key thing here, the main branch in there. So we can come over here to branches and say we could pick one of these here as the main branch. So we'd edit that branch. And you have a drop down here as active. You want to disable it, or you can make it the main branch, okay? So we can do that. We'll save it, and we're good. So now when we go back to company information, that's populated over here. This is just, we don't have to do anything right now, but this is where you would store documents. So you can click on here, and you can store documents, and then this is to adjust for your time zones. Here, you put your time zone in, and then you can click here to go to daylight savings. But just to get started, what we want to do is we want to come over to here, and we can go to integration, and we want to make sure that we have your payment gateway set up. Now we use transnational, and they will guarantee you that they'll give you the lowest rate, or something lower than what you have now, or at least match what you have. We automatically fill in as much as information as you can, and then you just fill in all this other information over here. And then you push this button, send to transnational, and somebody will call you and get that all set up. So all we want to do is get the company information and get this integrated here so that you can start accepting payments through OfficeSweeet from your payment provider or your payment gateway. So we click the logo here at the top to go back. So that's one thing. Now we got the company information, and the payment gateway. So next one thing we want to do is get our team or our staff in there. Now when you come over here and you click on this, if you're the owner, you're probably going to be the only name in there. So I can click on my name here, and you'll see what happens. We come over here, and it shows basic, information here. Now we have a whole bunch of tabs here that shows different documents for different people, email documents. We have uploaded files we can look at. We have notes, login management. I'll go over that in just a moment. So here's all the different tabs that you'd have for any particular person. So what we're going to want to do is put all your staff in. So let's just go back to that. Okay, so let's just go back to Contacts Home, or you can click the logo and you click Team and Staff, and just so you can see who's there, and then you'd go add a team staff member right there. So let's go ahead and put somebody in here. Let's put in Robert, and you tap twice, and we'll put in Mason. Okay. And then we tab again. You can select whether he's an employee. There's owner, employee, contractor, or agent. So whichever one you want to call it. Okay, so keep with employee. You put his email address in here. So it should put in Bob Mason at gmail.com. So we got the email address in there. Put his phone number in here. Then you put whatever that would be. And then you make sure the branch is filled in. That's going to be very important. And then you can put in, you can add a start date if you want. You click on it, it brings up a calendar. So, and it defaults to today. So if you want to put that in, or any other day you want. Emergency contact information. And what you're going to probably want to get is their driver's license for a new employee. And on the driver's license, of course, I have a zip code. I'm not sure this is an active zip code, but we'll take it and look it up. Nope, it's not. So let's just put in, let's see, and we'll look up that one. Okay, there we go. So we put their house number here, and we put their street number here, street name here, and then we got all that set up in there. So it shows all the stuff is required. It shows the asterisk here, this is required. So then we just push save. And it goes now to Robert Mason, and it automatically gives him an ID number. Okay, so you can see that populates over here. So what's really important now is that we have to go into login management and decide what you want him to see in the system. So it ends up with pretty much nothing here. So we want him to see clients, we want him to see vendors, we do not want him to see other staff. Do we want him to have control over login management? No. The journal would be, say, for an accountant or something like this. Do you want access to the admin control panel? No. Say, for instance, we do want to write checks. No, this is all financial stuff here. But we want to have access to the chat and the scheduler and the task manager. So we can just say enable login. So it already has his email address right in here. So we press the enable login. It will send him a temporary password by email, and then he'll log into the system because it'll give him the access code, and then it'll ask him to change his password right away. So you don't have to do anything else. You just press this button and you're good to go. And now he's going to be on the schedule. So if we just take a quick peek at the schedule, the Robert Mason's going to be in here somewhere. There he is, all the way to the very end, and it's there. Now, you think, well, this is a terrible schedule. I can't see anybody. Well, we have lots and lots of people in here. So you go to Department Filter, and you can get a lot of those people out of there. I didn't even put them in a department. So if I keep none open, and I'll take Development out and save that. So it just minimizes how many people are in there. And the very last part on the schedule is going to be the company name. So you can have all those people in here. So I'll go back to the team staff here for just a moment, and I'll show you how we can look at the actual, so I'll just click on mine here, and how we can look at their specific departments. Okay, so we click on the red button on the bottom here. We edit that information, edit team staff. And then we have here, this department was accounting. So we have different departments in there, so I could change that department. And that will help you decide who you want to see on the schedule. So you can have somebody in sales, somebody in installations, somebody in management, the owners, or whatever. You can make up your own departments. Now you can change it anytime you want, but it's just for each person. As you log in, then you can decide which people you want to see on the schedule. And you can just click all to see everybody if you want to. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we want to add your clients and prospects. So we go back to Contacts Home. And I know I'm moving quickly, but you can always back up the video. I don't want to drag this out any longer than we need to because you got work to do and we want to give you the information. You can go and look anytime you want. So we have clients and prospects. Now, I got to ask, what's the difference between the two? Now, clients are people that have already purchased from you, but prospects are people that you want to do business with. So you pick somebody's business card up at a meeting, you come in, you put them in the system, and then you can start a drip campaign to them. So once you invoice them, then you'll find them in clients, and we like to keep them separate for that reason. But any particular person that we would have in here, we keep track of them all. Now, you're not going to see anybody in here because you don't have any clients or prospects in here. So you can see these buttons at the top where you can add vendors and clients. So you have here, we add this here. So you can put them in as a company if you want, or you can just put their name in. So let's just put a name in here. Let's put in Kevin Smith. Very original. Okay, and then we have Kevin Smith at yahoo.com. And so you can see there's an asterisk there, and it's required. Now, when you get your driver's license, the driver's license of your staff, you're going to have the zip code, but sometimes you don't have the zip code. So we have this very cool search feature. So somebody can tell you where they live, and you can put in something like that, and you can make up an address, and see you've got York. So there, look at that, and then it just fills it all in. So that's the right one. So that takes care of that. And then if you're putting in your clients and prospects, how do you decide whether they're client or prospect? Well, if they've done business with you, you can say existing client. You click there and say yes. If they haven't done business with you, if they are a prospect, you just leave it no, and it's going to fall where it needs to be. So I can go ahead and click that yes, and we'll pretend that Kevin Smith is already a client. Now, we're going to want to put a phone number in there. And it doesn't matter how you put the number in there. You can put parentheses or anything else. The system will automatically figure it out if you have an automatic dialer. So we just put any kind of hyphens or anything you want in there. So we just save that. And if you didn't put something in that you needed to, it'll tell you. So that's saved in there. Now, if you want to put a whole bunch of clients in there, you just contact us, let us know, and we can import your clients. They have to be on a spreadsheet, and we can import that or help you import that also too. Okay, now that after we've added Kevin Smith, you see we come to his record here. Notice this is a link here. So if I press that button there, what it's going to do is going to give me turn-by-turn instructions on how to get to his house. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And then these are links too. If you have a dialing system in your computer, it'll dial for you. And if you have an email system provider that's already set up, or you've gone through the Gmail, you click that, it's going to open your Gmail or your provider account by clicking the email address. So now we have a series of tabs here, and we have some questions here or some information. So this is a basic information you might want to fill in on your client. Now you'd want to put in a date when you were introduced, so it just keeps track of how long you've known that person. You can put in their budget, whether or not they're the decision maker, their referral source, which you can keep track of then where your business comes from. This is a custom labels. You can put anything you want in there. We had that put in website in there. Over here, you can put all kinds of different things, availability or whatever. You can assign it to one of your staff, so that you can keep track of things like commissions and that. You can take note of their paying. are there problems or resistance to change priorities, and then plenty of room for comments here. And this is a really nice feature over here. If you want to follow up with them, you just click on here, you pick a date, say I want to follow up with them next Friday. Come in here, you add that to the schedule. It says for follow-up. You can decide whose schedule you want to put that on. You can put a nice note in there and save that, and it automatically goes it right to the schedule without even have to go there. So it just puts your little note in there, so you know, follow up here with Kevin. So then the next thing we want to do, once we have our clients in there, we're going to put in our vendors. So we can go to vendor home here, and we can add a new vendor like this here. And it's very similar, but we have some basic information on vendors you want to put in up here, the company name, your phone number, email address, and all that, and whether or not you want to track their 1099s. It'll keep track of that for you. And here's a custom label. You can put whatever you want in there. Okay. You have an option whether you don't want to put in a primary contact or don't want to put in their address, so you don't have to put that information in there. So you have that option. You can just take that out. But of course, we always want the address in for our staff because we connected with them and we need to send them things. So it's very important to get that information. And so as far as the driver's license goes, just keep in mind that you can always upload any information that you want. Let's just go back to vendors and we'll pick one. And then you can see here that we have different documents that we can keep track of. These are vendors here. We have the uploaded files. So you can upload a document, a PDF or something, or you take a picture of it, whatever you want, you can put it in there. So you can upload a copy of their driver's license or certificates of training, or maybe they've had CPR training or something like this, so you can put that information. Here we're in a vendor, but you can put that in your staff too, so we can have this room for everybody here. So that's how you put in, you want to get your clients and your vendors in there. So I would recommend that you go ahead and put a vendor in as yourself. You would go to vendors or you'd add vendors and you put your own company name in there, because some of the products and services that you sell is going to ask you for a vendor. And so you might want to have to, if you're selling that to yourself, or if you have something that you're selling and you want to keep track of inventory, you're going to put yourself in as a vendor. And let's go to that now. Let's talk a little bit about how you're going to put in your products and services. So again, we go back down to this action menu down here at the bottom, right here, this red plus, and click that, and we can see on the left-hand side, about halfway down, is the Manage Stock, Inventory, Products and Services and Assets. Click that button, and we can see here it has 4 categories. First category is the items that are in stock. These are the things you use yourself as a company. So we can have here, like, you got a forklift and a backhoe, and you have some Windex and toilet paper. These are things you want to just keep track of that you use yourself. We have Add, Review, Inventory, and Stock. Inventory of stock, of course, are these are the things that you sell. Okay, now you can, if you don't keep them in inventory, that's fine. We're going to put one in there. We'll show you how that works. If you don't keep an inventory, it will automatically produce a purchase order, and that will go to that vendor that's associated with that item. So you can see that you might, here we have executive desks. We're not going to have a bunch of executive desks. When we get somebody that buys them, we're going to be able to send for it with a purchase order. But we might have, other things like surgical tape on hand. So we can say how much we have on hand, so it'll keep track of our stock. I'll show you a little later how we do that, but the idea right now is to put in the things that you're selling, that you're providing. Services are over here. Those are products. So we would do that. We would say add a new product. We can do that right here. So we click this button here. So this is where it asks who the vendor is. Okay, so the first thing is we've got to have a vendor because it keeps track of things and automatically will send a purchase order to the vendor. So this is where you'd want to put in your own company. So here's John Stagel Realtor. Okay, I can put myself in here as a vendor if I wanted. So I can have optional, I can put a vendor reference there, a product name, and so we can put in something here like hand sanitizer. We've all seen enough of that lately. You can put a category, you can say where it's stored, put a SKU in here. So you can put HS hand sanitizer. We were going to say we're going to sell it. We're selling them for $5, and we actually get them for $2.50. So it keeps track of that. Is it taxable? Say it's yes. Order on demand? No, we're going to keep track of we have them in stock. And so is it for resale or is it for company use only? So you can see it's a natural algorithm of deciding what we have, where it's from, and where it's going. So we can say it's for resale. Say we're selling these things and we have 12 in stock, and we say we want to reorder when we get down to 6, and we want to stock it up to 15. So we can just keep track of all those. So we can go ahead and save that. This button down here, add new vendor, that means so if you get in here and you can't find your vendor, you can just, easy to just go to add a vendor there. But we're just going to save this like this, and it says we saved it and we're good to go. So we have our hand sanitizer in there. Notice it doesn't have a SKU there, but I'm going to reload this page, and it's here. We're going to put that SKU in there for me. It's just that, let's see where to go. And it doesn't take long to find something. Hand sanitizer, there it is. Okay. So, and then we can look at that product, and we can see everything we had in there. So we can change it. Say we want to change this reference number to something else, we could do that. Okay. So that's how you go in and you would add products. Here's where you put in services. Let's just look at one. There's a consultation. We can look at it, see what we did. So we put a consultation per 15 minutes. It's $15 per 15 minutes. That's basically $1 a minute, and it's not taxable. And so that's how we put that one in. We have consultation per minute, so we can do that too. So we can edit that one. It's $5. Okay, so we can see that it's $5 charge per minute, and say, you know, we pay. Say we're paying somebody $60 an hour, so we can say the cost is $1 a minute, but we charge $5 a minute. So you can see how that can work out, and you can see how much you're making. Say if you're an attorney or something, you can calculate how much money you're making on your staff or your secretary or your accountant, and you have a accountant that's doing some bookkeeping, so you can see what you're paying them and how much you're charging. So that's how that's done. And this last tab here is Assets and Liabilities Overview. Of course, this is where you'd put in things like, you know, your furniture and computers and buildings and cars and things like that. So you'd add those things and add new asset and liability, but we're not going to do that just yet. Because, you know, you only need those in there when you're going to do a balance sheet. So basically what we're trying to do today is get you up and running. So I don't want to take up too much more time. So I'm going to keep moving on here. So the things we wanted to show you here is this action button. So let's just go to Contacts Home, so we can just see the contacts in here. And then when we open a contact, say Mary Evans here, we're going to click on her. This is what she looks like here. And so when we're in Mary Evans and we click on the action menu, you can see certain things come up that we can do. We can create a new document. That is, we can merge her information with a template and send her something. That's a little early for this right now, but I'm just telling you what we can do. We can create an invoice, and so we go ahead and take a look at that and create invoices. So when we come to this page, we create an invoice, and here we put in this, you know, the standard sentence, and I'll show you where that's done. So that just puts that up every time. So we can, you know, we can edit that, take that out if we want. But in a few minutes, I'll show you how we put that sentence in there. But let's just create an invoice. So we add an item. We look at any one of these things here. So we're going to sell a cabinet and executive desk, and we're going to add that. So then you can click off of this page or click the X button. So you can click to the side. Now you can save it as a quote or as an invoice. So if you're actually selling it and somebody's going to buy it right now, you can save it as an invoice and go ahead and consider that it's a sale. But if they just want to know what's it going to cost, you can say, okay, it shows here, shows a total here, save it as a quote, and it doesn't go against your books until you actually turn it to an invoice, and then you would they would pay for it, and we'll get to that. So that's how we would create an invoice. So we go ahead and save it as an invoice. So we click that button there, and you can see what we have here. It shows the total. It shows what that product's cost us, and this is the profit we're going to make. So there's just a little footnote, basically, at the top there in the header. Now this one, both of these products, we don't keep either one in stock. Now if we did keep one in stock, it would say delete one from stock. But neither one we keep in stock. So it's telling you that we're going to create a purchase order. We can turn it off. That's why it's like that. But basically it's going to create the purchase order. So we can say, okay, process that. So what we got here, we look at that and we look at the purchase order on this. You can see those two items. And there's our purchase order from, they're both coming from Office Depot. Now, if there were two different people, they'd be coming from a different place. Now, this is just bogus information we put in here, so not all the information is in there. We didn't put a reference in there. We put, these comments in here. There's lots of other things we can do with this. But this is a basic purchase order. Now, we can take and email that directly to the vendor if we want, right from here, and it's done. So that's already done. Or that purchase order is actually going to be saved in the vendor's file, so you're going to always have access to it there. And then this invoice will be saved in the client's file. So it just takes a few clicks to make all that happen. We're going to go ahead and we can just go to that client's file. So we can go to Contacts Home. That was Mary Evans. And we go to Transactions. And we go to Invoices. And we can see this is the invoice that we just created right here. And we have options now with that invoice. We can add the payment to it. We can email it to get payment. The person can actually pay us right on the spot or call us with a credit card. We can email it. They can pay it with a credit card in the email. We can view the invoice. Let's take a look at that. There's the invoice. So, and that's, we can view it, and we can view the details in case we want to change something, or we just review it. So that's all. We're going to email it from here too. And we also can void that. So let's go ahead and void it and say it was just a test. It doesn't really matter, but it shows you that can be done. And what happens, it's voided, and it took that off. Okay. So I did promise to show you where you put those default messages in. So you go to the admin control panel here, and you can see there's a tab specific for that, default messages. So this is the message to email a comment for quotes. That's what we want to put on the email. This is the one to email for the invoices. This is a purchase order comment here. And this is the quote comment that just goes on the quote itself. So that's where you'd make those changes. You can put whatever you want in there and just click Save, and then it'll appear on those particular items. So that basically kind of gets you set up. You have your staff in there. You have some clients in there. You put yourself in as a vendor, and you put some vendors in. You put your products and services in there. And now you can get an idea how to do invoices, and there's videos on that as well. And then it's very important. Again, we're going to go to Admin Control Panel over here. And I want you to make sure that you go to the Integration tab and go ahead and fill this in for your credit card information, because it takes a couple of days to do that. Now, it's nothing in it for us. We just basically want to make sure that we get all these pieces tied together. So if you email somebody and they type in their credit card information, you'll see it, boom, right away. It shows that it's paid. The client's file shows it's paid. And so that's done. Now, the money, of course, comes in a day or two later, but yeah, it comes pretty quick. We use Transnational for us, and it usually will get paid in a couple of days. So I want to make sure you do that, and that's important. And one last thing is, you might have some questions. I know I went through this quickly, but you have some questions. We have this button down here. See, it says Support and Feedback right over here. When you click that button, we have the video tutorials. This one here we watched was Getting Started with OfficeSweeet. We have, if you want to read it, you can read anything you want. Here's, I just clicked on scheduling tools so we can see how that works. We have, now this is important, this is the action menu I showed you about, but the contact support is really good. You can decide how you want to do it. You want a general inquiry. So you want to send us a message, you just send us a little note here and say, whatever you want to send us, and it automatically will pop up. You push the send button, you can ask a question, and it indicates it to us down here. It shows that there's an alert, and we click on it like this here, and we'll see that there's a new message or something for us. Okay, so I hope that helped getting you started. And really, if you have any questions, give us a call. We're here to help you. Okay? Take care. Bye.